This story has a lot of buildup. So I met this friend online the summer before my junior year of high school. I was 16. His name was Flip. We clicked pretty instantly. Our senses of humor matched up, and I felt like we were really good friends. He was a guy, I was a girl, but I never really held romantic feelings. Also, I was in a relationship. When I was 16, he was 19. I could tell he had romantic feelings, and he let me know 6 months into our friendship that he loved me. We didn't really have a stable friendship, as he flipped out a lot and would go extended amounts of time without talking to me. He told me it was because he couldn't bear to talk to me knowing we can't be together because I was dating someone. But I now know that it was more of a control thing, and he wanted to stop talking to me to make me feel like I'm missing something. He really hated women, really disliked women, and felt like most are just whores. He told me he felt like I was different, that I was the only true woman he's ever met. Really red flag shit. I was young and didn't really think much of it. Our friendship was only online, iMessaging and FaceTiming. Now, when he went on these tangents where he would abruptly stop talking to me, he would go on Twitter and make offensive, demonizing tweets about me to people. Like awful stuff. When he came back, I just ignored that stuff because he would just go back to being funny and nice. I'm building up to our IRL meeting. Hang in there with me. So, he also had a habit of lashing out at people, taking revenge on people, and just making people feel like shit for fun. Another red flag. But I thought I was special and that he really cared about me and would never do anything like that to me. I remember leading up to my 18th birthday, him being 21 now, he said to me, "When you're 18, you're sending me nudes. You don't get to say no." I brushed it off because I knew I wouldn't. But yeah, notice there's just this element of him wanting to dominate. Anyway, fast forward 2 years later. I'm now 18, freshman in college. In October, I broke up with my boyfriend, same guy as age 16, and Flip took that as an opportunity. He would tell me he couldn't bear not seeing me, and that basically we have to meet or it's all over. Now, I didn't really have romantic feelings for him. My love for him was platonic, but I figured like, I'll try the romance. I'll try to love him romantically. I couldn't lose him. So I impulsively bought a plane ticket to where he lives in December. My parents had no idea, and to this day still don't. I was going to go away on a Friday, come back on a Monday. The college I go to is in a city with an airport, so it was easy to just Uber to the airport. This romance that I'm trying to project feels real, and I genuinely felt like I loved him romantically. I was finally going to meet the guy I love. Now leading up to the flight, about 1 to 2 weeks before, I started getting cold feet. I was questioning the legitimacy of my feelings and started getting on with a guy in a neighboring uni. I started catching feelings for him and kissed him a day before my flight. At that point, I had already decided I didn't want to pursue Flip romantically, and I figured, hey, we've been friends for 2 years. When I get there, I'll tell him I only want to stay friends. Yeah, he'll be upset, but I'm sure our friendship is worth more than that, and we'll be able to have a nice, enjoyable time together. How naive I was. I decided to go on the trip anyway, thinking that maybe seeing him would reignite that fire. Upon arrival, I realized that I did not love him, and I was no longer attracted to him. Regardless, though, he was a close friend of mine for a very long time, and whether I felt a romantic connection or not, I wanted to meet him for the sake of meeting him, just how I would want to meet any internet friend. So it's time for the flight. It's very early. I remember sitting on the plane contemplating walking out. I really just wanted to leave and not return. I should have listened to my gut. I arrive, and I go outside of the terminal. I see him sitting in his car just staring at me, like a very malicious, piercing stare. After a few moments, he gets out of the car. He looks different. It's strange because we have FaceTimed, and I have seen pictures of him, but he just looks different, kind of creepier. We hug and sit in the car. It's awkward. I feel awkward. We make small talk and awkward jokes, and in that moment, I wanted to be back in my dorm. We go back to his apartment and we go up to his room. We smoke some weed and I lay down on his bed to sleep. When I wake up, he's spooning me and trying to fondle me. I take his hands off and tell him to stop. Then I sit up and basically unload about how I don't want him romantically, only as a friend. He just started crying and begging me to tell him I love him. I tell him I can't do that. He then stands up, drops crying, goes into the bathroom and starts lighting stuff on fire. It smells like burning paper in the bedroom now. He comes out normally and just sits on his computer and plays games without talking to me. Now the rest of the trip is just like a combination of him being kind and normal to him being completely evil. Here's some of the things he's done and said throughout the 3 days. He made jokes about me dying, would pretend to hit me and lunge at me and get close enough, and I watched and I flinched. Told me he almost sent a snap of me to my mom with the geotag of this town so I would get in trouble. Told me he almost made me sleep in the car one night. Told me that one night while I was sleeping, he walked over to me and just started farting on me. This one's just fucking nasty. Kept telling me to shut the fuck up when I would speak or ask questions. Did it multiple times in front of his roommates too. He was trying to feel me up in bed and I kept pushing his hands away and he would keep trying and would say things like, "I know you want it, you're just holding back." Was calling me an idiot when I would ask questions. Served me spaghetti and told me he purposely used the moldy spaghetti sauce hoping that I would get sick. Told me he was gonna make me miss my flight home. Said he was planning to drive in the opposite direction of the airport and dropping me off in the middle of nowhere. So basically, I kept my cool, and when he would tell me these things, I would nod and agree and laugh with him. I was scared shitless and I wanted nothing more than to leave. So I kinda keep it cool and I spend my time trying not to upset him. Monday rolls around and my flight isn't until 8 p.m. Around 11 a.m., he goes downstairs to leave, and in that time I pack my bag and leave without him knowing. My plan of action is to run to the nearest shopping plaza and Uber to the airport from there. I wasn't about to Uber from his house. I'm almost to the end of the street, feeling free, when I feel 2 arms come up from behind me and wrap around me. He's hugging me, mumbles something into my ear, and then turns around and dead-on sprints back down the street to his apartment. I ran to the shopping plaza, called an Uber, and got in it. I felt so much relief in that moment. I felt like I was free. I waited at the airport with nothing to do for 8 hours, but it was better than being in there. I look back and I feel like an idiot, like I should have gone to a hotel and should have probably left, but I'm a broke college kid, and I was already scared shitless being here without my parents' knowledge. After I left, I blocked him on every social media outlet I have, including LinkedIn. He still has tried to contact me regularly for 4 months, but luckily I never told him my address or anything. So, online friend of 2 years, let's not meet again. A few months ago, my sister talking to a boy online named Ben. The two of them had a lot in common and were only about a year apart in terms of their ages. We didn't think anything of it at first because it's normal to have online friends these days. My sister is really introverted, so it was nice to hear that she had someone she could chat to. From what I understand, Ben was also there for her emotionally too, if that makes sense. My sister became quite attached to him. Ben also introduced her to a few friends of his as well. They all seemed like your typical edgy teenagers, the kind that post selfies with emo song lyrics and stuff like that, similar to what she posts basically. Ben seemed like a normal, caring friend and even messaged me a couple of times when he was concerned about my sister being upset. He seemed genuine, and I was happy my sister had found someone like this. One day, my sister asked my mom if she could meet up with Ben in the city. He lived in another state and had organized to spend a week in our state with his aunt, so it seemed like the perfect opportunity for the two of them to meet up. They arranged a date and time to meet in the city, and my mom and I accompanied her. When that day came, though, he didn't even show up. He made some excuse that his aunt wasn't driving him there, and we figured she was probably concerned about Ben meeting someone he only knows over the internet. I'll admit, I did have a really bad feeling about their meetup while we waited for Ben to show, but I stupidly ignored it. My sister, understandably, was quite upset that he hadn't shown up. Ben messaged me to apologize to us for having to run around after him. He explained his aunt can be unreasonable at times. At that moment, I genuinely believed he was a decent person and wasn't lying about his situation. A couple months passed with just the two of them chatting away like normal. At some point, my mom gets the idea that she and my sister could fly to his state and meet him, and his mom, in case she worried. Ben liked that idea, and so they ordered the flight tickets. One day, out of the blue, my sister burst into my room, clearly frightened. She told me to block Ben and the two friends he'd introduced her to earlier. When I asked why, she explained to me that Ben had been a cover-up identity for a person that had previously threatened her using another account. All the pictures he posted were from someone else's account. She found this out and confronted him. His two friends that he chatted with on his posts and everything were all fake accounts run by him to keep up the illusion. The person, after being confronted by my sister, admitted they were keeping tabs on my sister. They had been chatting for months, and she had likely told him some personal things too. The flights were immediately canceled after my mom found out, and we were all spooked about the whole thing. I still am, and I'm even a little paranoid about sharing this here. We couldn't tell the police because my sister was a dingus and didn't keep a copy of the messages the account sent her. The account was taken down after we informed the guy whose pictures were stolen about the incident. So, to whomever this person is, let's never cross paths again.